So total cases in China, 126,836. Again, it's more than that. Chinese government generally doesn't include asymptomatic cases, and we tend to in the United States and the West, certainly in the U.S. And they also don't include clinically diagnosed cases, but that have not been confirmed in a lab. So it's like, yeah, we know you have COVID, but we haven't really confirmed it in a lab. Well, the U.S. often will use those cases where China doesn't. And so, these numbers are going to be a little higher, but nonetheless. So look at these numbers here, total deaths, okay? If the Chinese population was the same size as the U.S. So there they are in comparison, okay? So, again, they're not that wildly inaccurate, trust me. Well, you don't have to trust me, I don't care if you do. What I want to ask you all, what's China doing? What did you do?
Chinese really trust their government. Like, no one will refuse to wear a mask. Yeah, I think whatever Chinese government say, let's stay home and don't go out to shopping or fool around. Chinese people actually follow the rules of government. They trust the government, so I think that's how they control the COVID.
So the government says do X or do Y.
Yeah.
And not only do you trust, but you have to do it.
Yeah. But most people willing to trust, not because they have to, but they want to do it.
I think why we have these members is because when the COVID is outbreaks, it is during the Spring Festival when most of our business is naturally shutting down.
Uh-huh.
And so during that time, we're not going to interact with each other too often. And after the Spring Festival, we have a better idea about this virus and how to control it. And then government have designed a kind of app that just track everyone's location. Mm-hmm. If you are if you are tested positive, so they will track where you have gone and give area people in that area a test, so we can control it very well.
Mm-hmm. Hey, can somebody explain that more, how that works? Because I think that we don't. Can you
for
explain
example,
that?
if a person on one train tested to be positive, and then the whole train, the passenger of the whole passengers of that train will be tested, and
so how do they know all the passengers on the train, right?
They buy ticket, they have to record.
Okay. Okay, so let's just talk about here in Penn State. So let's say you're taking the bus onto campus. You live out on Wapelani Drive or somewhere, and you're taking the bus, and you buy a ticket, right? Let's say you have to buy a ticket. You swipe your card, whatever. So they know where you are. So if one person on the bus or the train, whatever, is test positive, what happens? You get notified or something?
They will be sent to the hospital, and all the people who talk to him or see him before on that day will send to the hospital as well.
So how do they know who you talk to or who you see? Give me some examples of how this happens.
Because when we buy train ticket, we use our national ID card. To buy the ticket online, you can swipe your national ID card to get into the train. So that's why how they can track which one take this train, and track you where are you going or something like that.
So what if when you get off the train you go then to buy something at the drugstore? Would they track you there also? They would know you went to the drugstore.
If you to purchase stuff in drugstore, they will not track you, but they have a cooperation with carrier, for your phone.
Yeah.
So the carrier will provide where have you been, if you in a city that had outbreak in 14 days, the carrier will keep the record.
Okay, so the idea is that you want to find out if I have COVID and I'm standing next to this dude right here, Like you as much as possible, you want to know who you've been around. And so the Chinese government, through like the app, like WeChat and different apps, right? They're going to be able to have as much information about you as possible so that they can respond and tell you, okay, you got to go to the hospital and you got to get tested, or you have to go into quarantine or something like that.
Like if you tested positive, like the officials will ask you where have you been, what did you done before, and if you didn't tell them the truth, it's illegal in China. It's against the politics, you know.
And what happens if you lie?
You will be put into jail for 15 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when I go back to China this summer, like a lady in like next to our apartment building actually lied about being like come back in from I think Korea or Japan, and she lied. She said like she already tested or something, but she lied about she actually go to the supermarket when she's supposed to stay at home for 14 days, and they actually bring him to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the fine in Taiwan in the early part of this pandemic was like $15,000 US. Like if you did what you just said, it was like, I think that's my memory. It was $15,000. It's like, holy shit. Like that's so much money. Like it's not like a small amount of money. So the fine in China is probably a lot for Chinese people. It's a lot of money also, right? Chen, do you want to add anything? Do you have the app on your phone that you have to have a barcode, right? That says that everyone has that?
Yeah, I mean, I can.
If you are like a house eater.
Wait, hang on. Wait, do you want to explain that? No, go ahead.
So if you are like healthy, like the code will show like green. If you are like potentially like contact with a potential like how to say that? Like a
Potential infection.
yes,
Maybe, yeah.
and it will turns like yellow. And if you are infected, it will turns like red.
So everywhere you go, so like if you're on campus here, every building you would go into, you would get your phone and show the barcode at the entry to the building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, but yeah.
You go to a store, you go to the
Every place
movie
that you go, you
theater,
have to show
everywhere
the code.
you go. So when we think about how you get that number of cases and the number of deaths, the way you get that number is by you give the government a lot of information about you, and you follow rules. And so Americans are like, that just goes really against our nature. But for you all, somehow it's okay. Can you talk about what it is that makes that okay? Because for most people in here, they would resist that.
Because people want to protect themselves.
People what?
Want to protect themselves.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to?
Like the way you like report the test and like to obey the law or the policy is actually like not only protect yourself but also protect the people around you.
Okay. So
Yeah.
can you all say something about that? It's like, for example, are you wearing masks right now to primarily protect yourselves, or to like which direction do you lean, right? To protect yourselves or to protect other people? Yourself? Yeah. That's because you're here in the U.S. But in China, here's the thing, right? So I want you to talk about this a little bit, right? So in East Asia, so in Korea, China, Japan, etc., right? There's an we say, oh man, hang on. There's like an inflection toward, or the community itself, other people, are really, really important. Yourself is important, but the community is important. Here in the West, it tends to start with yourself, right? Like, what are my interests, right? So therefore, I'm going to wear a mask because I got to protect me from other people. Whereas in China, there's an inflection that says, but I have to protect other people from me because I might be infected. And I want to be. So can you say something about the difference there?
Yeah, like when the government put out the official ad, like suggesting people to put on the mask, it at least for me, it made me think of like the greater good, to sacrifice a little freedom, but to like not let China die from COVID.
So you sacrifice little freedom for the greater good, and the greater good is the community. Anyone else want to?
I mean, like, I understand for most of Western countries, they focus more on individualism. Like, basically, you begin to think everything from yourself, and then it's the greater good. So, because my major is in LHR, so we did actually, I myself did a project regarding this topic. So basically, in East Asian countries, we tend to focus on the outcome of the community first, and then to individuals. So basically, which this means regarding this kind of situation is that, like, you ain't gotta, the government says that you have to put the mask on so that we can get through this pandemic. And then you have to do it, because if you are the person that did not do it, and then you're gonna slow everybody down. So, and then continuing from what they just said, like the green QR code, and also the code that you need to have before you can travel to anywhere else. I believe it is not something that we consider as privacy invasion. I believe it's something that is responsible to everybody, because you cannot just believe the person you just met and then whatever they said. So basically, you have to show some evidence that you are actually clean from COVID, because you don't actually want to get COVID, right? So, because you might die from it. So basically, I believe that we do it this way because we care for the greater good of the community instead of just the kind of the leisurement for individuals. Because I understand that because some of my classmates from my high school ask me the same question, like, why do you have quarantines when you go back to China? Why do you all have to wear masks, or why do we have like special laws during the COVID pandemic? I just said that because nobody wants to get COVID, and then if you want to get through this pandemic, you have to act like you pay attention to that, and you have to focus on the current issue. Like, that's
right. Okay. Were you gonna add something?
I will just say when COVID started, and my parents asked me like, how is the United States? Is the United States have trouble about COVID? And they sent me like hundreds of masks, and I wear them to Walmart every time, like every weekend. And I see like half Americans don't wear masks. My parents said, no, it's too dangerous. We have to go home. And I said, it's more dangerous to take the flight, because on the flight you don't know what other people like are they tested positive or not? Because United States doesn't force people to like say they tested positive or negative. So my father said, yeah, you can stay, but you can only go out like once per weekend or per week, and they will make sure that I follow obey their like.
So they're doing contact tracing on you.
Yeah.
So wait, but have you been back to China?
No.
Since the start? Oh, you haven't?
I didn't.
Yeah. There's not like the right way and the wrong way. Somehow you have to have a good society. You know, you need people that are going to operate in the interests in such a way that society can progress forward in the best of possible ways, right? Here, we have this kind of, in the West, although we struggle with this, but there's an inflection toward if every individual follows their own personal self-interest, right, then everything will just work out for the best. And if it doesn't, then, this will be a problem. But if you just let everyone do that, people don't want to die, and so people will do the right thing. Elsewhere, it would be, look, no, if everyone just follows the interest of the whole community, then things will be really good.